God, I hope that was on. Hi guys, welcome back. I'm still here in my studio. I'm doing a part two. I actually wanted to segment the first intro video and this video because I wanted to drill down a little bit more. The first video, I really just wanted to give a quick overview of the content economy in blockchain technology, how those two are mashing up. Actually wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about narrative. That's my first passion for all of the different platforms that are existing or coming on board. Narrative is something that I've really dug deep into, mainly because not mainly, there's a lot of reasons. I cannot say mainly, there's a ton of reasons, but I can tell you my initial reasons. I liked that it had a female CEO. Her name is Rosemary O'Neill. And I don't know why that mattered to me, but I really just felt she was like a natural leader. I liked what she was saying. She talked a lot about, on the interviews that I watched prior to investing into narrative, I heard her talk a lot about the front look of the platform being very elegant looking, and that they were totally striving to be a quality content platform. They not just the platform itself, but that they want people to strive for good quality content that they're producing. Those were magic words to me. I am on a platform called Steemit right now. I like it. There's problems with it in my opinion, but I'm not going to diss on it because a lot of people are doing really, really well on it. It's I think a little bit harder as a newcomer onto the platform. It's about 2.5 years old. And as a brand newcomer, I've only been on it since January. It is a little bit harder to get going on it, but I have been sticking with it and I am starting to see a tiny bit of progress. But what I don't like about Steemit versus what Narrative says they're going to be is, one, I don't find it to be a very elegant looking interface. And I also don't find it to be well organized in terms of like how you read content. And I don't find it to be, there's no curation of it. It's just a steady stream of every single voice out there and every piece of content just kind of like running through the system. And I come from a curatorial background, so I like to categorize things and I like to put things with like things, similar things. You know, I like to make new relationships with by matching up things and finding a continuity in certain things. So Narrative actually proposed to do that, and that was something that was really exciting to me. They proposed to have niches within their social stratosphere. Niches being like mini blogs, like a page of a topic within the whole platform. And they have to be moderated or edited or curated, whatever word you want to use. They use the word moderate. And so these niches are owned by individuals in the community, not the community collective, but individuals suggest niches, niche topics, and then they get approved by the community or not approved based on appropriateness. And then they, actually let me clarify that, not based on appropriateness, based on redundancy. So for instance, if you have a topic like right now in Canada and in parts of America, they have, a lot of people are talking about legalization of medical marijuana. So on our platform, somebody has suggested cannabis. Well, that is an interesting topic. Lots of people will probably want to contribute to that, and lots of people may want to read about it. In our redundancy rules of the platform, somebody else couldn't come along and suggest, for instance, marijuana, because it's too similar to cannabis. But you could come along and suggest recipes for edible marijuana, or you could come along and say how to grow your own cannabis plants or things like that. But it also is kind of fine-tuned by what the description says. So we as a community, we vote on whether this is redundant, or that we have a few other objectives that we want to make sure that that's not harmful or mean-spirited, that kind of thing. So we have different reasons how we can vote down a niche. And then we bid on it and we pay. The winning bidder will actually get to own that niche. So it's really democratic. It's a very, very democratic platform. And that's pretty exciting. Okay, so you have a niche owner. The niche owner now needs to hire a moderator. So the moderators are kind of like editors for this niche, which is kind of like a page or kind of like a magazine. So the moderator is involved to be sort of a bridge between the owner and the content makers. And they're going to try to make sure that that niche has a high quality standard. They're going to look through all the submissions. They're going to pick the most best quality, interesting content that's going to prop up that niche. And then the public can also find their topics that they might be interested in reading a little bit more. And you can follow that niche, you can join that community, you can comment. But the thing that you really want to do is you want to upvote. And upvoting is how that content gets graded in terms of how much that content maker is going to make. So the more likes it gets or upvotes that it gets in the month, it gets broken down into a percentage of the advertising pool that month. Pretty cool, hey? There's other factors. Your reputation. So you have to be a good Samaritan in this community. You have to conduct yourself well. You have to strive for good quality content. And all of these things will give you a higher reputation. And the higher your reputation is, there's an algorithm that helps calculate what your portion of the payouts are going to be every month based on your reputation and the number of likes that you got. I hope that it's not too confusing. It can sound pretty confusing up front. There's a lot of information to digest. But I've been doing this for about 2 months, and you do get it. It does come. Like, it is a bit confusing in the beginning, but it comes to you. And there's lots of great people on the community board that will help navigate and help people understand and help educate how the systems work. Okay, so back to the numbers. A content maker will receive a payout of 65%. The moderators, for their work on the niche that they work for, they will make 6% of the total amount of revenue that the niche generates each month. Well, the niche owners, they make 10% of the overall amount of money that the niche generates each month. So with the niche ownership, even if you're not a seasoned content maker, you're just really developing your aesthetic, you're developing your artistic voice, you're developing your skills with camera equipment or all of that stuff. You can still contribute to your monthly earnings if you pick a really great niche and then you go out and you find really great content makers and bring them over to the platform to write on your platform and to contribute to your platform. So this is really, really exciting stuff. And I know that people aren't hearing a lot about it right now, but that does not mean that it isn't coming. It's coming. It's going to be a sea change. I know Steemit has been around already for 2 years, and there's a lot of people who, especially the ones who started in the beginning 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, They are making a great living at it. There's no doubt about it. In fact, it's so transparent. You can actually see all of their transactions, how much money they are actually making. So what else can I tell you about Narrative? Right now, if you're watching this currently, you know, we're not live. We have an alpha version that is out there. We call it Chaucer. And everybody who invested into the initial coin offering. If you're not a crypto person and you don't know what that is, it's kind of like when a company goes public and they're selling shares and you know, it's being listed on a stock exchange. Initial coin offering is quite similar to that, where they need to drum up resources. And most of the platforms that I know of, they've all had their initial coin offering, and they've drummed up a lot of money. Like that's what's really exciting and promising. That's one of the things that are really exciting and promising. Like there are people who are putting their money in, and it's like in a way crowdfunding a new platform. So a lot of people are putting in. Not huge amounts, but not really small amounts either. And that gives you a certain amount of privilege. There was actually 2 levels to the initial coin offering. There was a founder level and there was a patron level. And the founder levels, they had to pay more to become that status, but they actually had a 2-week window where they were the very first people into the alpha Chaucer version, where they got to buy their niches, they got to suggest their niches, buy their niches, and get to know each other within that community. Actually, we were all allowed to kind of view in. Patrons couldn't actually participate, but we could view what was happening. And that was the second level. I'm a patron, I'm not a founder. I was close to having enough money to invest as a founder. I was just shy of being able to become a founder. But actually, in the end, I'm kind of happy I wasn't. The bidding was pretty fierce, and they paid a much higher price for some of the key niches. There was only one niche that I really missed out on that I wanted, that was on my list, and that was fashion, and I didn't get fashion, but I got a lot of the niches that I did want, and then I got some niches that I didn't even anticipate getting, but I thought, wow, that's a great idea, and I bid on them. So it's pretty interesting how it all works. So back to where we're at. We have a community board, and of the social media platforms that I listed in the other video, the ONG Social and Social X and Apex and these other types of platforms that are coming on, I don't know a lot about them yet. I've only started to research them. I know a little bit more about Social X on that list than any of the others, but they are all pretty close to coming out with their alpha or beta. Some are ready for their more public second phase. Ours on Narrative, it will be in October or November, and I'm hoping October. I keep saying October, that's what's in my mind, but officially it is the 4th quarter of 2018. And my fingers are crossed because I'm really excited to start posting content. Okay, so the difference between Narrative and the others that I can see in like snapshot of what's happening on the community, in the community and on these platforms right now, is that Narrative has a community board that is on their website and it's public. And so there is a ton of activity with all these different threads of the community involved, what that anybody can read. It's not private. So I feel like we are already beginning. We are posting content already on this community board. And a lot of it is fascinating. I mean, sometimes it gets heated, and because we're building this plane. We're building the plane. We're not flying it yet, but we're close to it. And it's really, really exciting. So every emotion is involved. Like people feel passionately about one thing, and some people feel passionately about another thing. Some people are really entrenched in the content world and are really excited about it. That's kind of me. Others are like really entrenched in the cryptocurrency and are experts in that, and they have lots of ideas about what's going on, how we exchange the Nerve token. So it's really, really fascinating. Hands down, it is fascinating. I have become full-on obsessed, fascinated with how this is shaping up. I mean, imagine if you could go back in time to like pioneer times, like 1600s, and you're plopped into the middle of nowhere and with a whole bunch of other people, 5,000 people, and you're going to build a town, and you have basic tools to do that, and you have knowledge of other towns that you've lived in. But I mean, people are, you know, natural leaders are arising out of the group, and you know, friendships are forming, and you know, people are working together in areas, and it's fascinating. And then you start to oh, I get excited. You start to see how all these components of your real world come into this social digital world. Like, you know, what is our stance going to be on, you know, how are we going to control trolling? Are we going to control it? Are we going to vote people out? Are we going to silence people? Are we going to have no censorship? Are we going to be wide open? All of these, and then how does that function in the real world? Like, you know, where there are courts that might sue, and like, what if you stepped on the toes of a trademark and infringe there? Like, there's just so many interesting elements to building something that isn't coming from the corporate dominated 3 to 5 people make the decision to how things will lay out. Like, when you have all these different viewpoints, it's cool. It's tough, it's fun, it's fascinating. So yeah, that's narrative. I'm going to talk a lot about narrative for sure. It is my go-to, and I want to talk about the different niches as they develop. I want to talk about the different people within the community and what they're up to and who they are. I want to talk about how everything is developing, but intermixed with those videos, I am going to talk about other aspects, because I might not make enough money to support myself just on narrative. I'm hoping that I do, but at this stage, until I know which one of these platforms really takes off, I want to know about all of them, and I want to be ready to be involved in more than one potentially. And hey, maybe I want to be one of the experts in like being a content entrepreneur in the age of blockchain technology. There's room. I don't know if too many people are developing that as their expertise. So maybe I'm going to be one of those people. Who knows? I hope you'll follow my journey and see where it goes. You know, I think that this channel is going to be called The Content Entrepreneur. I like it. I can't lay claim to it. It was suggested by somebody, one of the admins. His name is Michael Ferris. It was suggested in a Telegram post that he made, and I loved that name. I bought that niche on narrative, so maybe this channel needs to be called The Content Entrepreneur too. Yeah, I think so. And it does fit into kind of my readers wanted back there. So yeah, okay. I've decided it is going to be called The Content Entrepreneur. Cool. I hope you subscribe, and I'm going to try to do this as often as I can. I don't know if I'll do it daily. I know that there's some really great people on the platform, and that's what my next video is going to be. I'm going to talk about some other YouTubers that are talking about narrative. I want you to subscribe to some of them too, because they come at it with a different perspective as well. And some of them talk a little bit more about cryptocurrency. And I think that that's something, if you are going down this path, you will also want to gain that knowledge. So cool. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for giving me your time today, and we'll see you soon. Bye.